Originally, it started by looking at art and seeing what looking at art does to me. When I see a drawing, a comic book, a children's book when I was a child, and you see this other world opening up, and I guess it was the desire to create something or like create this effect to other people that I experienced when looking at things. Originally, I wanted to draw very precise, very perfect, and the idea of art for me when I was young was I wanted to prove people how well I can draw. And then much later, I became looser and started different materials and collages, and I think it creates more interesting art, but spending your youth just drawing was probably a good foundation. When I see an object, I see nothing. I see the same thing that you see or anybody sees. It's just an object. And I have to stare at it for many hours until all of a sudden maybe the light, a certain angle, something reveals itself. It's part of a picture, and then I complete the picture with something else. But I never walk around a pair of socks and say, oh, this looks like a dinosaur. This never happens. The idea is to make the drawing look like I had this light bulb go off. It never goes off. I like drawing. There's a certain drawing with black ink and brush that never gets tiring. But so much of what I want to do is trying to create a connection with the reader. And for that, you need to work with what people know, but also you want to change. You want to make something surprising, and by adding new textures or new elements or objects or drawing styles, you can make something that looks familiar different. And when you use the same style, at some point the reader becomes too used to it and it becomes a little too predictable. For certain things I have routine. When I do a drawing for a newspaper article on politics, I've done it enough that I have a pretty good sense whether it works or not. But the really interesting things are where you try to push it further. And ideally you find exactly that spot between so complicated that nobody understands it and so obvious that everybody understands it. You want to be just at that very edge, and for these cases, I need help from very few trusted people. My wife, a few designer friends who I show it to and say, what do you see? Can you read this? Does this make sense? Because by yourself, I'm so deep into it, I can't judge. I can judge 2 weeks later, but when I do it, I can't.